Good evening. Let us begin this talk, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Panchama Veda, with this pranam mantra. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kabibhidiritam kalmashapaham sravana mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti E Bhurida Jana. Sri Ramakrishna used to love Keshav Sen. Last time, and we are studying this particular chapter where Master Masha has mentioned last visit to Keshav. And there you find the wonderful behavior of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to love Keshav Chandra Sen so much. Though Keshav was not his followers, rather Keshav's philosophy was totally different in many ways with Sri Ramakrishna. He was a leader of the Brahma Samaj. He had his own followers, who many of them were not very happy with Sri Ramakrishna's attitude or approaches to God. Even then, Sri Ramakrishna used to visit Keshav. Naturally, we may think why. The genuine love for God was the reason. Keshav had a genuine love, a real love, a sincere effort to reach to God. Sri Ramakrishna, the God incarnate, was ever eager to help those who were sincere in the pursuit of God. Sri Ramakrishna was eager to go to each and every one. Why? Because he wanted to see the people are perfect in their attitude, in the pursuit to God, the realization of God. And in the Bhagavad Gita, we find that the Sri Krishna also is mentioning, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tams tathaiva bhajamaham, mama vartmanu vartante, manushya partha sarvasha. This is the uniqueness. Sri Ramakrishna once said to his disciple Swami Vivekananda, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna. And when we find that how the beautiful way, he is not telling anything, but his behavior, that speaks. And that is supporting the scripture, the Gita. As Sri Krishna, he said, these whoever, in whatever way, following the path of God, they are coming to me. Whosoever worship me, through whatsoever path, I verily accept and bless them in that way. Men everywhere follow my path. And that is the beauty, that is the speciality. Whoever, they are all coming to God. Sri Ramakrishna is reaching out to them, helping them. So why I give so much of importance, why our senior Swamis gave so much of importance in reading this gospel. There was a Swami who was a very erudite scholar in Vedanta. The Swami, in the back end of his life, used to read only gospel. Then one of his disciple asked him, Swami, you used to read our scripture, Vedanta, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra. Now you don't read that. You're reading only gospel. The most of the people, they think gospel is a simple thing, the conversation or not. Then he said, he was the president of the Ramakrishna order, he said, now I understand gospel is truth. In the spiritual path, gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Kathamrita is the truth. If there is any controversy between the Upanishad and the Kathamrita I will accept Kathamrita. Why here the person who has realized he is behaving accordingly, this is the importance. The most of the people, they talk about Vedanta, we go to attend the Vedanta, we go to attend this class, that class. But those who are really sincere, they should read this. And some of our senior Swamis used to say, you better read Vivekananda first, understand him, then come to gospel. You don't think that it is so simple. When Sri Ramakrishna, he is going to Keshav Chandra Sen, the description if you read, in 5 minutes you can complete the reading, the gospel. Nothing is there in the description. But if you read in between the lines and go in depth of it, then you will understand why Sri Ramakrishna, the first question will come into your mind. Sri Ramakrishna was not a Brahmana, he was a Hindu, he was a image worshipper, and which exactly opposite to Keshav, but he is visiting Keshav and helping him. And here we find Sri Ramakrishna came to see Keshav, who was very ill, suffering. But he never asked him, how are you? What are the medicines you are taking? Who are the doctors attending you? Never about that. Immediately after entering into his house, he started talking about God and very high philosophy. Why? Uplifting the mind from the body. And that is the real work of the Guru. It's not socializing. It's not going and just talking with him. Oh, how are you? I'm so sorry. Better you talk to that doctor, this doctor. Nothing like that. He understood. He is going to give up this body. Not many days are left. And he was giving him his mentally uplifted to the spirituality. So that is, as we always pray, Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. He was lifting his mind from the body to the soul. And it is like from the impermanent to the eternal. The body is impermanent, temporary. But the soul, the God, the Brahman is permanent, eternal. So Sri Ramakrishna was talking about that, his mind he was lifting, and moreover he was giving wonderful idea, taking his mind from the darkness to the light. Here you find in the page 322 of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he is mentioning, he is asking a question to Keshav. To Keshav with a smile, why is it that you are ill? And then the next para, I am not reading all the lines, in the next para I find he is giving the reply. And with an example, as his own, that was his speciality. His uniqueness, always to give a small example so that you can understand what he meant. He is telling, an elephant entering a heart creates havoc within and ultimately shakes it down. An elephant entering a heart creates havoc within and ultimately shakes it down. The hint is there. Shakes it down. That means Keshav won't be leaving for a long time. So shakes it down. He said, the elephant of divine emotion enters the heart of this body and shatters it to pieces. So that is why he is telling. And he said, the fire of knowledge at first destroys such enemies of spiritual life as passion, anger, and so forth. Look at it. So people, they are following the path of religion. They think we are following the path of religion. They do so many things. They will be fasting, they will be donating, they will be visiting the holy places, they will be listening, they will be reading. But how to know that I am really proceeding towards the path of God or towards God? How I will know? Sri Ramakrishna here. And that is the reason I always think that is a Panchama Veda. It gives knowledge and spiritual knowledge. It says that the fire of knowledge at first destroys such enemies of spiritual life as passion, anger, and so forth. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava, mahashana, mahapapma, viddinna iha vairinam. Who said? Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita again. So when we read like this, we understand when Sri Ramakrishna said, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna in this life, in this body. And that is so true. In every step, he is, whatever he said in the Bhagavad Gita, he is practicing doing it as Sri Ramakrishna. And here we find he is telling the kama and krodha, passion and anger are destroyed. Then what remains? Only the soul, only the God and nothing else. Kama esha, krodha esha. When the passion is there, desire is there, and when that is not fulfilled, naturally the anger comes. So these two go side by side, hand in hand, and that is the reason one person should constantly try to understand whether my desires, my passions are lessening or not. And when my passions, when my desires, suppose I am having something, is not there, whether there is anger, the krodha, that's the expression of the failure passion that he said. And lastly, a violent commotion. And then again he said, then comes the turn of ego. First is passion, then anger, and ultimately the ego is completely crushed. Then the man is ready to receive God. So these are the 2-3 small things, as if very small, very ordinary. But that is the hint of the progress of spiritual life. How you will judge a holy man? By this. If the man is having the cravings, the desires, the passions, and also at the same time his anger, and then his ego is present. When all these three are not there, he is a holy man. So then it says, lastly a violent commotion, it's seen in the physical frame. It is in the physical frame that is coming. Why it is that? It's thinking in this way. The body is the result of our karma. Therefore, as long as body is there, ignorance, ajnana remain. Shankaracharya, in his explanation to the 4th sutra of the Brahma Sutra, maybe we will read someday Brahma Sutras, he said that tattu samannayat. That means, because of knowledge of Brahman become prevalent in mind, body consciousness become insignificant. And Sri Ramakrishna is telling in a different way, first, when that knowledge is entering, what he does, he burns the passion and the anger, then crashes the ego, and then finally he breaks the whole body, the frame within which the self is bound as I. I am this body. Constantly we are thinking. The moment I say I, mind comes over to this body. So it says like this. So Sri Ramakrishna is going on talking. Keshav, understanding it, loved again and again by master allusion in the hospital. He was telling, if you are in the hospital, the doctor will never leave you till you are cured. So similarly, since you have come to the place of God, you have started taking the name of God, you have started praying, the God will never leave you till you realize God. Till you realize God, they will never leave you. As a patient entered into the hospital, never gets the from the doctor the release order that you can go till the doctor is sure that he is cured. Keshav is laughing. Then Keshav is telling, all depends on God's will. Today the subject is that all depends on God's will. That's the approach of the devotee. Keshav is a Brahmagyani. The Brahmagyana, the Brahman, but Keshav's Brahman, that is a conception of Saguna Brahma again. So unless you have the background of the philosophy, it is very difficult to understand that when he said all is God's will, how come a Brahmagyani talking about the God? Here the Brahman is Saguna Brahma, who is nothing but the Ishvara. The Brahman, the pure consciousness, cannot create. So it is reflected on the Maya, and then it is creating. That is called Swaguna Brahma, and that is the other name of that is Ishvara, etc., etc. We have already discussed before. So this is Swaguna Brahma, and Sri Ramakrishna mentioned about this, and he said, in order to take full advantage of the dew, the gardener removes the soil from the basa rose down to the very root. The special type of rose is there, and it says, if you are opening that particular ground, it goes to the root, it can see, then the dewdrop, it reaches to the root, and the best flower, it comes, the rose. The plant thrives better on account of the moisture. Perhaps that is why you too are being shaken to the very root. The root is ego. You too are shaken to the very root. That means your ego is completely crushed. And when ego is not there, as we were mentioning, tattu samannayat, then on which the mind will be. I, the feeling is not there, completely, that consciousness, constantly. The feeling of the body is completely gone. So I consciousness gone, then what will remain? Thou, you, and that is the ultimate and the best flower. That means the human life is really successful when he understands, she understands that it is nothing but the manifestation of God. So here Sri Ramakrishna is giving, perhaps that is why you too are being shaken to the very root. Keshav and Master are laughing. Master Mahashaya, he noticed that others could not understand this. Keshav understood. Keshav knew that his days are numbered, he is going to pass away, but he is not afraid at all that he is going to die. That is the speciality. When one is sure that he has realized God, then there is no fear. Abhayam, that is the main thing. There's first Abhaya, that is coming. There is no fear. Sarva bhuteshu, everything, because in everything I see my own self. And here the Keshav and Master are laughing. It may be that you will do tremendous thing when you come back. Sri Ramakrishna is telling, maybe next life you have to come again. Not that you will be realized completely. You will go back and merge in the sources. Not that. That hint is also there. You will do a great thing when you come back again next time. As because you are reaching to the very high. Whenever this time Sri Ramakrishna is giving very clearly, whenever I hear that you are ill, I become extremely restless. After hearing of your last illness, I used to weep to the Divine Mother in the small hours of the morning. I prayed to her, O Mother, if anything happens to Keshav, with whom then shall I talk in Calcutta? This is the thing. Sometimes some people, their thoughts, their manners, their behaviors are so very worldly. The minds are so crooked, they cannot think straightway. It's better to avoid their company. Though according to the Vedanta, each soul is potentially divine. But at the same time, some people are so bad type of thoughts are there, whom sometimes people think about, the sinful thoughts. Why sinful thoughts? Because harming others, criticizing others, feeling ill for others, constantly thinking in that way, so their manners, their thoughts, and whatever they are, that is, the moment you go near them, that will reach your mind, pollute your mind, influence your mind. So better to avoid. Sri Ramakrishna, though he was God himself, he was an avatar of Varishta, and his work was, the mission was, to reach out to people to help them to manifest the divinity. Even then, he was telling it is better to have some people with whom I can go and talk who are really lovers of God, who really likes God. They are open-minded, straight. So that's why he is telling, I used to feel sad whenever I heard about the illness of yours, O Keshav. I used to pray to Mother. This time he said, I told, coming to Calcutta, I offered fruits and sweets to the Divine Mother with a prayer for your well-being. The devotees were deeply touched to hear Sri Ramakrishna's love for Keshav and his longing for the Brahma leader. All the devotees were there as Sri Ramakrishna's followers, one or two, like the Master Mash and all. But mostly they were the followers of Keshav Chandra Sen. So obviously when the Sri Ramakrishna was telling that I pray, they were very happy. But Sri Ramakrishna was praying not to impress them. He was praying for the genuine devotee. So that is the attitude of a religious man, no difference. Whether you follow my path or not, my God or not, my philosophy or not, it doesn't matter at all. If you are sincere, obviously the religious-minded person, the broad-minded person who is having some experience about the God, likes you, goes to you. This is the Sri Ramakrishna. The devotees were very happy. Then the master, second, he said, how this, see, he is the Ishvara, he is the God, he knew everything. We know the definition of God, who knows the past, present and the future. One of the quality of God is this. Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning to Keshav, not directly, but sufficient clear hint is there. I used to pray for you. Then he said, but this time, to tell the truth, I didn't feel anxious to that extent. Because he was sure that Keshav will die, Keshav will not be there. So, it is of no use praying to Mother. Mother will never reply, Mother will never give that, okay, since you have prayed, not like that. So he knew what is going to happen. He came. And he never asked about the ill health and anything. He was constantly helping his mind to soar on high and to travel on the higher plane. So he was telling, but this time, to tell you the truth, I didn't feel anxious to that extent. Keshav, Mother came. Umanath, a gentleman, said aloud to the master, said, here is Mother saluting you, Mother of Keshav Chandra Sen. Now you just think about the situation, the scene. Sri Ramakrishna has come to see the Keshav Chandra Sen who is sick. Now the Keshav's mother, she is entering into that room and praying to Sri Ramakrishna. How Sri Ramakrishna is answering? Sri Ramakrishna smiled. Umanath, again, Mother asked you to bless Keshav that he may be cured of his illness, which is very natural. Mother is asking Sri Ramakrishna's blessing. Sri Ramakrishna to Keshav's mother, please pray to the Divine Mother, who is the bestower of all bliss, she will take care of your trouble. So Ramakrishna is not telling she will make your son all right. She will take care of your trouble. So if we read every word, is so perfect because he knew what is going to happen. And that is the reason, and he was not sorry. Why? He was not prayerful for Keshav. Why? Because he knew that Keshav will come back once again and he will do lot of God's work afterwards, and whatever the spiritual development that he has done in this life, that will be utilized in the next life. Everything he knows, just like a picture. So he is not part of it all. This is called Rishi attitude. The Rishis, because they knew everything, what is going to happen in the afterwards. So they are not part of it all. So that is exactly in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. He said, please pray to Divine Mother, who is the bestower of all bliss. The mother should not be unhappy, should not feel sorry or cry, or naturally such a son like Keshav died and still the mother, elderly mother is leaving. So naturally people can think what will happen to her. The bestower of bliss. She will give you joy. She will give your mind tranquility. So he said that she will take away your troubles. To Keshav, with great seriousness to Keshav, now Sri Ramakrishna is telling, don't spend long hours in the inner apartments. You know, the olden days, there's the outer apartment and inner apartment. Out of the extra, people from outside used to come and meet, and the inner apartments was totally different from that. So he said, don't spend there much time. You will feel better if you hear only talk of God. So before the birth and before the death, one should concentrate on God. The mother, when she is pregnant, if she goes on listening to the God's words, read the holy book, sing, prayer, son will be very good. Whoever, the child, the baby, will surely have a good marks of the spirituality, that's sure. That happens. That is why in ancient time they used to always take care of the would-be mother, and they used to always ask them to sit properly and then listen to God and to pray to God. The mind will be constantly on that, and it reaches to that baby. And before death also, if one is going on praying to God, the mind is above that body consciousness, is also good. So Master said to Keshav, the Master uttered these words in a serious voice and then began to laugh like a boy. The psychological treatment, that when we hear how Sri Ramakrishna is treating, the psychologically, the first he is telling his mother, his brother, his family and his devotees, his friends, he is giving the hint that this is the final time for the Keshav and all. Then afterwards he is telling it is of no use taking this body, because when the elephant comes it breaks like that. So when the thought has come, it goes. Then he said to Keshav, now few days are left. Don't spend time over there thinking of the worldly things, of the property and the family. Keep your mind constantly in touch with God. So that is the real thing. And that is the reason Sri Ramakrishna was so clear. He understood. Keshav only will understand this. And he was telling it directly to Keshav. Keshav understood it. And immediately afterwards, the people should not say that what he is telling to him. Why this? Immediately, so that is the way the God, the work, immediately behaving in such a way, people are deluded. He said, he laughed like a boy and he said to Keshav, let me see your hand. He took the hand, he weighed it playfully like a child. He was not watching the palm or reading the palm. He was weighing the hand. Usually Sri Ramakrishna used to do, many other references are also there. He used to weigh the hand, and that afterwards he used to say, here he said, no, your hand is light. Hypocrites have heavy hands. Now don't try to weigh your hands, because so it's very difficult. This is called Samudra Vidya. Only very, very special type of people can understand these. Otherwise, we will always make a mistake. Samudra Vidya, the physical things they can understand and they can say. See, he weighed the hand from the elbow to that palm, and then he used to say whether he is good or these, that. If they were bad, he never remarked anything, he didn't say anything. But about the Keshav, he said, your hand is light and you are not a hypocrite. Most of the people in the philosophical path, particularly in the spiritual path, they become hypocrites. Why? It's so difficult to continue these high moral values. And then moral is nothing. Much above the morality is spirituality. That spiritual, that keeping the mind, so obviously they try, then they afterwards they can't continue, then they become hypocrites because there is no way for them to go back. So most of the people, they become hypocrites. Swami Vivekananda, sometimes it is really terrified because people who are trying to realize God, for them it is a caution. He said those who are practicing religion or trying to realize God, they are very few. Even among that, as a percentage he is telling, 80% become hypocrite. 15% go mad. 5% genuinely try. So that is the spirituality and realization of God. It's not just a matter of joke, then we just see it and then we understand, oh, I have understood. Not like that. So 1 + 1 equal to 2, not like that. This is a completely different thing. As Sri Ramakrishna hinted, that if the God is entering into your heart, then 3 things will happen. First, passion, anger, ego will be burned to ashes. There will be no trace of passion, no trace of ego, and no trace of anger. But the anger, when you are living in the world, you have to show. Otherwise, you cannot survive. So the practical training is also there. And he is telling here, Umanath again said to the master from the door, that he is announcing. In those days, the women, they never used to talk directly with any man. Though she was very elderly, even then, in the Ma Sharadamani Devi also, she used to converse with Sharadananda ji and others through somebody else. So here Umana said, Mother asks you to bless Keshav. Keshav's mother is requesting once again. Now here, Master and the recorder, Sri Ma, within the bracket mentioned gravely. He said, what can I do? God alone blesses all. He is not blessing. He knew that this body will never remain and there is no hypocrisy. Okay, I am blessing. He never said like that. Only, thou workest thine work, men only call it theirs. Then he is giving, again, as is his own, he is explaining. God loves on 2 occasions. He loves when 2 brothers divide the land between them, they put a string across the land and say to each other, this side is mine, that side is yours. God laugh and say to himself, why this whole universe is mine? And about a little clod they say, this side is mine and that side is yours. And God loves again when the physician says to the mother weeping bitterly because of her child's desperate illness, Don't be afraid, mother, I shall cure your child. That is not possible. The physician does not know that no one can save the child if God wills that he should die. So that is why the Keshav Chandra Sen, understanding this, he said, all depends on God's will. And this exactly what Sri Ramakrishna, he was giving very clear hint that this time he is not praying for Keshav. And this time he is not going to bless. Just then Keshav was seized with a fit of coughing, which lasted for a long time. The sight of his suffering made everyone sad. Then some refreshment had arranged for the master. Keshav's eldest son was seated near him. The master said, Amrit, another person, introduced the boy and requested Sri Ramakrishna to bless him. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, it is not given to me to bless anyone. He is the God. Now if he says something, it is going to happen. So that's why, as when he is there, he cannot change the course of the karma phala. The God says, Nadatte kasyachit papam, nachaiba sukritam vibhu. In the Bhagavad Gita, very clearly, again the Sri Krishna is mentioning, I don't bless anyone. I don't curse anyone too. Nadatte kasyachit papam, nachaiba sukritam vibhu. Ajnanena, because of their ignorance, whatever the karma that you have done, accordingly you are suffering or enjoying, don't blame me. I am only watching, that's all. But if you pray to God again and again and sincerely, then the pain will be reduced. That is the thing Sri Ramakrishna is telling, that it is not given to me to bless anyone. And with a sweet smile, he stroked the boy's body gently. But he was indirectly blessing the boy by touching. Amrita smiled, all right, then do as you please. Because the Amrita was very close to Sri Ramakrishna, he knew his ways. He said, Master to the devotee, I cannot say such a thing as, may you be healed. I never asked the Divine Mother to give me the power of healing. I pray to her only pure love. So this is exactly what a man should pray to God. Give me the power so that I can become these. And the many people they follow, particularly a group of people are there. And sometimes people, they misunderstand them, thinking they are tantrikas and practicing only for their spiritual power, miraculous power. It is not like that. Anyone, anyway, if someone is doing that, is a separate. But one should only ask to God for pure love. Now, next month in the May, Swami Ishatmananda is coming from Toronto to give a retreat in our Ganges on Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, that is pure love. Then how this love and how to inculcate what happened, so he will be explaining in that way. Then he is telling to people, is Keshav a small person? He is respected by all, seekers after wealth as well as holy men. So that is the traditional way of the Hindus. Long, long back, spiritual growth, not only spiritual, but also the worldly. Both they were there. So that is the reason the balance was there. And he said both could come and pray to him. He had that power. Once I visited Dayananda Saraswati, the founder of the Arya Samaj. He was a great person who was then staying at a garden house. I saw he was extremely anxious about Keshav's coming. He went out every few minutes to see whether he had arrived. I learnt later on that Keshav had made an appointment with him that day. Keshav, I understood, had no faith in the sacrifices and the deities mentioned in the Vedas. Referring to these, Dayananda said, "Why? Lord has created so many things. Could he not make deities as well?" Though he himself, Dayananda Saraswati, the founder of the Arya Samaj, he was only practicing without any images, only pure Veda and mostly the Karma Yoga and Yajnas, all that. Though they were having the differences of opinion, philosophical differences, both were sincere seeker of God, and there is no difference. So obviously Sri Ramakrishna is appreciating both Dayananda Saraswati and also Keshav Chandra Sen. Look at this, a person like Dayananda is waiting for Keshav. Do you think it is so simple? So continuing, the master said, Keshav is free from the pride of a small-minded religious teacher. To many people he has said, if you have any doubts, go there. There means to Sri Ramakrishna, to have them solved. So naturally, the narrow-minded people will always like to say, be with me only, listen to me only, follow my words only. But Keshav was not like that. He was asking his disciples, people who used to come to him, you can go to Sri Ramakrishna if you have any doubt. Why? He knew the realization is with Sri Ramakrishna. Intellectually they were trying to understand God and proceeding, but the true knowledge, realization was Sri Ramakrishna. So you better go. It is my way too to say, what shall I do with people's respect? Let Keshav's virtue increase a millionfold. Sri Ramakrishna is the God. He never wanted to have the praise of the God people. He said, rather, let people praise the Keshav. May his virtue increase a millionfold. Keshav is certainly a great man. Everyone respect him, seekers after wealth as well as the holy men. Thus Sri Ramakrishna praised Keshav. Then afterwards, he was coming down. Now you see how things goes. Immediately, he noticed the Brahma devotees accompanied him to the cab which was standing in the street. While coming down the stairs, the master noticed that there was no light on the ground floor. He said to Amrit and the Keshav's other disciples, these places should be well lighted. A house without light becomes stricken with poverty. A house without light should not be there because that is a sign of poverty. Please see that it does not happen again. This is the way the God teaches. You must always feel lighted, happy, clean. So that's why the mind of the people also become happy. When you enter into a shabby, dark place, your mind also comes down and become like that. If your lighted place, beautifully decorated and clean, when you go, your mind is also lifted. So that is the reason he was mentioning. On his way to Dakshineshwar from Keshav's cottage, Sri Ramakrishna stopped at Jayagopal Sen's house. Say how the missionary work Sri Ramakrishna started. What we do now, it was introduced by Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna himself. The most of the ancient time, the religious people never visited any devotee's house. But Sri Ramakrishna used to go, he used to sit over there, and naturally they used to call different people around from the neighborhood, and he used to talk with them, and then again to another, then again to another. One day he has visited 2-3 people, and constantly talking with them. It is very, a person like him, it was so much. But even then he used to do. And he said, he went over there. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. In the drawing room, Jayagopal's relatives and neighbors had gathered. Vaikuntha, the Jaikopal's brother, said to Master, Sir, we are worldly people. Please give us some advice. Most of the time, when you are reading the Gospel, you will find the same type of question asking. Sri Ramakrishna, this time he said, do your duty to the world after knowing God. With one hand hold to the lotus feet of God, Lord, and with the other do your work. The very clear question and complete clear answer. Sir, we are worldly people. Please give us some advice what we should do. He said, do your duty to the world. That means whatever the responsibility you are having. After knowing God, does it mean after realization of God? No. After knowing that God is there, that Supreme Being is there. So after believing that, knowing that, keeping in your mind, you work. How? With one hand hold to the lotus feet of the Lord, with the faith that God is there. Then if you are working in the world, you won't be bound by that. That is the idea. And with the other, do your work. Then that same person is asking, is the world unreal? He knows, but asking, the Sri Ramakrishna's answer is unique. He immediately said, yes, it is unreal. Look at it. We have already done the Sunday, those who have attended that's our Sunday the talk, we were discussing about the Buddhism. Again and again, the first line, the first teaching of all the main 4 teachings of the Buddha, this Jagat Dukkhamaya. The whole world is full of misery. Shankaracharya also said, this world is mithya, it is completely unreal. But Sri Ramakrishna, that is why he is so special, the Sri Ramakrishna is telling, yes, it is unreal as long as one has not realized God. As long as one has not realized God, then it is. With one hand, that is unrealized God. Through ignorance, man forgets God and speaks always I and mine. He sinks down and down, entangled in Maya, deluded by desires. Maya robs him of his knowledge to such an extent that he cannot find the way of escape, though such a way exists. Not that Sri Ramakrishna is going against the idea of the Buddha or Shankara, but he is putting it in his own way. In a devotional path, when you are following the path of devotion, is all God manifested everywhere. So, Bhagavan Buddha, he was following the path of knowledge. We must remember that. The path of knowledge, sometime we will be discussing about Shankara and his Paramaguru, Shankara's Guru's Guru. He says this world is never there, and Shankara says it is unreal, etc. Buddha also said it is there but full of misery, you have to go beyond that. Sri Ramakrishna is telling from the path, from the viewpoint of bhakti, from the viewpoint of devotion. It is created by God. God has entered into it. God is manifesting in everything. So unless and until you have realized God, you may think that this is mithya, this is unreal. But when you realize God, you see the same God everywhere, in everything. Yatra yatra netra pade, tatra tatra Krishna sphure. Those who are the followers of Krishna, they see Krishna everywhere. So that he is telling, it is unreal as long as one has not realized God. Then you all know from your experience how impermanent the world is. Each and every one from the experience that we know, then he is giving a song, and he is telling, the Shankaracharya is telling, what is this world? Satya Anite Mrituni Krittive. This is my notes. Sri Ramakrishna was telling, look at this way, how many people have come into this world and again passed away. So it is so temporary, so unreal. Shankaracharya mentioned these Satya, that is permanent, Anrita, Asatya, that is temporary, Mithuni Kritye, mixed here. This world is true, at the same time untrue. Why? Because when we are ignorant, we are accepting this world as true. And when the knowledge comes, we think this is totally untrue. When we were young, the football and the games and all those things were so much true to us. The kite, flying the kites and all. And now at this age, it has no value. So obviously, truth and untruth, those who have understood it, it is completely untruth. Those who have not yet, so Satya Anita, mixed Mrituni Kritye. Sri Ramakrishna also said, Chini te bali te. It's a sugar is there, sand is there, mixed. If you can really utilize this life, it is sweet. If you cannot, it's very, very difficult to live. And he said, this kind of world is illusory and impermanent. A neighbor is telling, why, sir, should one hold to God with one hand and to the world with the other? Why should one even stretch out one hand to hold to the world if it is impermanent? Only for the argument they are asking. They will not do nothing. In both the hands they are holding the world only. But still he is mentioning in such a way, if it is impermanent, then why not hold the God? You need not to hold in that way when you really understand this world is impermanent. So both the hands will automatically go to God. You need not to ask this question. The master is telling the world is not impermanent if one lives there after knowing God. See, consistency of his teaching. Why? He is not talking to the people who are following the path of knowledge. He is talking to the devotees. And if you say the world is mithya, it is totally temporary, it is totally illusion, then there will be a lot of confusion. So that is the reason Sri Ramakrishna is always handling the people according to their standard. Again and again he is telling that this world is not impermanent. It is permanent. If one lives there after knowing God, when you know God, that means God who has created this universe is also present in the universe. I see everything, nothing but God. And Jagat, this universe, according to Buddha, it is full of misery, dukkhamaya. According to Shankar, it is mithya. But according to Sri Ramakrishna, it is satya, it is truth. If you realize God, so we should not mix up the knowledge and devotion. So this is the way, and immediately to make the point clear, as he used to tell the stories, anecdotes, he used to sing also. Through the song, he used to make whole thing very clear. So I will, up to today, we will close over here. The friends, this is the real thing that you have to understand, as because I have seen many of you are so sincere for such a long time. You are associated with this idea. Now, life is ripened and we must be very, very sincere. Instead of going here and there and wasting our time reading this book and that book and getting different type of ideologies and ideas, there is no time left. We have to concentrate now. It's for the younger people, it's okay. Let them go and have the taste in different. But we have to concentrate. Now time is short. Those who are really sincere in any path, how? We have to, if we are following the path of bhakti, most of us are devotees. The prayer and prayer and prayer and prayer. Sri Ramakrishna, we will find that he is telling, taking the name of God is puja. The worship that we are doing, only by taking the name of God, that will be sufficient. And we have seen in this gospel, he is mentioning the tamasic, rajasic, swatik, and beyond sattva. The tamasic, he is making the offering to God by killing the animals, offering to that so that he can eat, that type of thing. Rajasic, he is also cooking in a great fashion. I am cooking for God, I am giving and all this. Rajasic. And he'll be going on telling people, I have cooked for God, all the offering that you see, I have cooked, and that is like that. They will be telling like that. They have the devotion, but at the same time, lot of ego into that. Sattik, quietly he will do, but still that is a limitation. Beyond that, God's name is puja. We have to reach to that, taking to name of God, just constantly, with a complete faith that God himself said. If you take the name of God, you are doing worship. I need not to go to temple and sit or to any other place and offer like this. If we can, it's okay. If we cannot, no problem. So that level should be. So Sri Ramakrishna, he is mentioning, and through Keshav Chandra Sen, the way he is behaving with the Keshav, that way he is also indicating us, giving the hint to us, this body is temporary. But as long as it is there, utilize it. How? By taking the name of God and nothing else. That's all. All this argument and philosophy and this, that, all in intellectual jargonism, that's nothing. But the main is the peace, happiness, tranquility, realization, and joy. And how you will understand that? Three things will happen. What are the three things? First, the desire will be crushed. Second, anger will be abolished. Third, there will be no ego. Only that time the heart will be ready to receive God. Let us pray to Sri Ramakrishna that one day we should have that. And let us offer our pranam to him. Niranjanam nityam anantarupam bhaktanukampa Drita Vigraham Vai Ishavattaram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.